First of all, I was in Long Island in the 80s, and I left in 90. When I got out there, there was a few shops. I went to West Hempstead and worked with Frank Romano and Marguerite and Cindy Burmeister. I mean, the people I worked with hated my work. They just thought I was like a barbarian, I think. They definitely thought I was like crazy with these giant outlines, and every single piece was totally unique to the other one, and there was just so much experimenting going on, and just like just searching, seeking. I don't know when I met Brad. Honestly, I can't really say, but it wasn't in Long Island. It was definitely later, and I love Brad. He's a character. I heard he had a fun shop to work at.
I think High Roller has always been a place where it was about the artists that came through, because the styles have changed over the years depending on who was there. It almost went away twice. First when Brad was leaving, and then Danny had it for a couple of years. And if I hadn't have taken it over, the shop would have just disappeared. Anything that lasts over time, it takes on a life of its own. Little things like paintings and drawings and holes in the walls of all the people who have come through the shop. That's why I didn't change the name either. It was High Roller, and I was just making sure it stayed there. During the 80s and 90s, especially when tattooing was illegal in New York City, there were only a couple of big names on Long Island, and they were all kind of like the traditional old school biker dudes. And the tattooing was mainly flash street shops.
When I broke into the business, no shops talked to each other. We didn't talk to anybody. It was a wild time. There weren't that many shops in the 90s. So we're talking maybe most shops, 4 to 5 guys, 15, 20 tattoos a day at a minimum. Pick something off the wall, sit down, and that was it. You had to be a real man and stick around and become a tattooer. So you knew of other shops, but you didn't talk to them unless you had to talk to them. And Brad was the kind of guy to get along with everybody and kind of bridge the gap between all the shops.
When you first meet Brad, you kind of put back like, this kid is wild. I was tattooing out of my apartment in Midtown Manhattan and was magnetically pulled into New York City through underground tattooing. Bumped into Brad in the Lower East Side somewhere, and we became friends pretty quickly. And he kind of bum rushed me as a young dude with a lot of tattoos. And I want a tattoo. Teach me to tattoo. Teach me to tattoo. I want a tattoo right now, tattoo. And especially back then, I was very protective and like, hold up, man. You know what I mean? I got somehow taken into Long Island and linked up into Peter Tattoo, and Brad was living at his parents' house, and tattooing was the mission. Maybe at that point in time, I personally had thought it was a little advanced for him to be having a shop, but High Roller became.
I was at the Richmond convention, probably 97 or 98, I think. And he had this set of flash with him that was so bad. Some of the worst fucking designs I've ever seen. And I bought it from Brad immediately. I was like, yo, dude, I have to buy this. That's how I met Brad. And we just started talking, and like, I was still traveling a little bit. So he invited me to come up to Long Island, and I went up there a few times. Got to do really fucking fun tattoos, and like, People were just getting big tattoos and spending money. I think that Brad bringing people to his shop really just kind of blew it open in that area where like people just hadn't been. People weren't doing those kind of tattoos before there.
High Roller just made an environment for, tattooers from out of town to come through. Brad was like, oh, my buddy Seth's come to town. You want to get tattooed? He's like, he's really good. I'm like, all right, cool. I had no clue who he was. Not too long after, he was like, oh, Mike Wilson's coming up. I was like, tattoos that this guy does is insane. Then that's when Grime came. And it was the two of them actually working together at the shop. Brad was giving him like 100%. He didn't care about the money. He just cared about like having good tattooers around. I had no intention on learning how to tattoo. I always thought tattoos were cool and all, but I didn't think I could do it because this was like late 90s. Yeah. And Mike was like, you could move to Jacksonville and learn down there with me.
So I tried to get tattooed when I was probably 16, and they just like told me that I could hang out, but that I had to come back before I could get tattooed. And that was when the ramp was there. This would have been in like 97. I got into a fight with my mentor and I quit. And I had done one tattoo on a friend that Brad saw, and he was like, yeah, she could work at the shop. It gave me so much confidence that this person who I didn't really know that well was willing to take this chance on me.
I started getting tattooed from Bradley in 2000. Every couple of weeks I was in there working on a sleeve. And then I started just going there to hang out. And then eventually he just called me and was like, yo, you want to sweep the floors? I didn't even realize how lucky I was to stumble upon this place. My first week working there, Grime was there. A crazy experience, obviously. When I first started there, I had no clue who any of these guys were. I remember one time I was tattooing a customer, and I guess I was sitting far away from my station, and he just lifted me up and moved me closer to my station, moved my client over. There was another time he told my client to, just leave. He's like, you can't tattoo this guy. And when I was working at it, actually a different shop, a fireman came in, wanted a firefighter fighting a dragon, and I, drew it all up, I thought it was great, ready to go. And Grime, literally looked at me, he's like, tell that guy to go home again.
So why I do that is because I'm so obsessed with doing good tattoos that I need everything to be in the right place to give me the best chance to make the tattoo as good as I can, right? If I'm not setting everything up, if I'm not doing enough planning and preparation, I can never make the tattoo what I probably want it to be, and then I'm going to be let down, and then I'm going to be going, well, how can I fix that? And we're like, well, if you weren't fucking lazy, you could have fucking fixed all that shit, and it would have been easy. Everything should be where you need it to be. So it's easy, less movement, everything's efficient. That's how I tattoo fast, efficiency. If you don't pay attention to those other things, tattooing will be so much harder because tattooing is already super hard. That's why I do that. I think maybe O'Donnell was like, you should go work in a shop, he's super cool. This guy doesn't care, he's covered in fucking tats. And he's got the shop, and he's just like, yeah, come, we'll put you up. And that was fun, and I just realized that he doesn't take anything seriously. Everything's like a joke. It's funny because nothing really seems to rattle him. Bradley made it easy, right? I went there because it was comfortable. I could fucking park my car out there. He provided a cool place that I could crash, and I had good clientele there. He has the luxury of coming from money, and so he's fortunate enough to be able to just kind of partake in all kinds of different stuff. He was very hospitable, and he was a good host, He let me stay at his house, and I met his family. I was there right after the twins were born, and so I've known them for a really long time.
It set the tone for me for the rest of my life. he opened up a whole another level of tattooing that I didn't know existed.
I mean, Long Island history is a huge part of tattooing in New York City and across the country and probably the world. Everybody was 100% resolved at making and pushing tattoos forward and doing the best tattoos they could.
Yeah, because Grimy came in that September, right before the first Tokyo convention. I remember we got a package from Mike Wilson with like photos and some flash, and it said, "To Brad, see you in Tokyo."
Wait for a ride in your mother's car. No conversation, just get